All right, in this first video, I'm just going to show logging in and work through the first part of the assignment. So this will be kind of covering the part one, using the data set we have published out and how to filter the data, how to symbolize it, and also show one quick tip in ArcGIS Pro for those of you that have used desktop tools and you want to kind of look at the software or look at the data set in there. So let's get started. So first, you just need to come to this URL, yalemaps.maps.arcgis.com. We can send that link to you. You should have it already. And I know almost all of you have already tested this, but we'll click Sign In. And then this will then log you in or create an account for you, and you should be in and good to go. The most important thing is that all of our content is shared to something called a group. So I'm going to go up here to Groups. And you should have listed here something called Urban Design Workshop. So you should be a member of this group. If you are not, just let me or Lee know and we can add you into this. Because without being a member of this group, you won't have access to any of the data. So this is probably the most important thing for this exercise. Then I can come to this group. This will show all of the data and information that's in here. For the course, you'll want to bookmark or access this YUDW Yale Urban Design Workshop Data Explorer. I'm going to hit View. So this application is going to house all of the different data in layers. It's basically the kind of library for all the spatial data. And if I scroll to the bottom, unfortunately I have to hit Next now, the data set that you're going to be using for this first part of the exercise is called New Haven Parcels. So this has all the assessor's data. And this is for the whole city of New Haven. We had one that I posted out prior that is just the 2 select neighborhoods, but please use this one so you can get some broader context for the city. And down here in the bottom, I'm going to click this little button, Add, and open it in the map viewer. So after I select that option, all of the data and all the parcels get added into the map. If I zoom in a little bit, you can see I have these kind of gray outlines of the buildings. I can click on any of these and then get the details of the attributes for them. The most important thing for this exercise is probably here in this options dropdown. There's a little option here to show the table. And this can then let you go and look at all of the attributes that are part of this data set. Because without an understanding of what's here and what fields you should maybe use and explore, there's not a lot of value to this data. You can see sale date, that's an interesting one to maybe look at. The use description, what kind of use is this building currently? If I scroll over, there's a couple other really good ones. The zoning, the assessed land value, the year the buildings were built. And here's a good thing to note actually. You can see this year built. So this field might not be that good to analyze. You know, it's something you can play around with, but you can see there's a lot of zeros here. So there might be a lot of data missing for this. If I scroll down, actually doesn't seem that bad. So, oh, here comes some more zeros. So maybe 30% of this data set is just zero fields. So that's a way to start exploring the data you have here. So you can kind of start to understand what attributes and what information is under the hood. You can also at any point come here and hit Add Layer. So if I click Add Layer, there's my content and there's a drop down. Make sure you select My Groups. That'll filter the data to just be mostly the content that is part of the spatial data library. If I scroll down, one of the important ones you might want to add is just the project neighborhoods. So this will then put those outlines on the map so you can kind of see both Fairhaven and New Oakville. The second most important things are how can you start analyzing and asking some questions of this data. So if I have the parcels selected, you can see this is now selected on the table of contents over here on the left. I can now apply filters or change the symbology for this data on the right-hand side. And so the first thing I wanted to show is how to do a filter. So here, if I click filters and I add an expression, this expression is now looking at all of the different fields that are part of the data. So one of the examples that we showed the other day was just, I want to see just those properties that are owned by people not in Connecticut. So owner state is not Connecticut, and hit save. And secondly, let me change the way that these parcels or those outlines are displayed. So the first really quick thing I can do is just hit here for style options. After I click styles, options, and let's change our fill color to be something that'll pop a little bit better. Blue is kind of more, associated with water, so let's do something else. So nice. So what we just did is we took one attribute from that data set and we have, symbolized the map to create a thematic map that is showing those parcels and those properties that are owned by people out of the state of Connecticut. So for the exercise, again, you need to think of two ways to use the information that you have inside of the attributes for the assessor's data. The other thing you could do to symbolize your map or tell another story is change the way the data looks. So here I'm going to remove that expression. So now we're looking at all the parcels again. And now I'm going to symbolize the data based on a field. And let's come down here and say, I want my data to be symbolized. I haven't played around with this one yet. Let's actually do the year built. See how that looks. So I'll hit add. And circles looks kind of silly. It doesn't really make sense. Let's just use these colors to show the year built. And this is interesting. You can see down here in the key, it's actually saying, a structure was built in the year 1156, which I highly doubt. So we could actually go to our data filters, say year built. And you can see here there's all those zero records and it looks like 1736. So what we probably want to do is at least 1736. Hit save. And then I want to come back to my styles to have it create that style. Because right now it's using 0 as that kind of lowest record. So now we've styled the structure, the map, to say this is the colors based on the year built. And if you wanted to, you can then also apply another filter to have kind of two attributes in the map that you're starting to use and look at the data. So this is a way to get started, start understanding, asking questions of the map, looking at the data. And then the last thing that you're able to do here is come and print this data. So over here on the bottom left, there's a little print icon. You can select map only, export a JPEG. If you have Illustrator, you could export another format. For this case, let's just do a JPEG. You can set the DPI if you want it to be a higher resolution, and I'll just hit export. Right here on the bottom, it's kind of spinning to let me know it's building it. I can click, and it pushes out my map. I can then drop into a PowerPoint, drop into another presentation. This is a good example. This map is really, really ugly. So I probably want to clean this up, or you could reach out to me. You could reach out to others after you have an idea of what kind of story you want to present, and we can help you kind of form the map a little bit and clean it up a little. Great, so that was the part one of the exercise. Good luck, and reach out and ask us any questions if you're looking for other data sets or ways to ask questions of the data. Thanks.